Welcome back to another gloomy day, another gloomy episode.
The weather here has been so bad.
It's been pretty rough. I like it actually. Like I'm a fan of the rain. What do you think?
I mean, but we both feel like it makes us feel tired and like your nose.
I'm not willing to put this on the rain. I may just be sick.
I don't know.
I could be a little bit more regimented with my allergy medication. Let's just put it that way.
There's room for improvement there.
Listen, one time in my life when I was a kid, maybe when I was 13, 14, I took a pill on an empty stomach and I threw up for the rest of the day. Now, for the rest of my life, that means that I'm so paranoid. Yes, I am so paranoid that if I take a pill on an empty stomach or even like with breakfast, like the food hasn't had a chance to sit in my stomach.
There are a few things that you shouldn't take on an empty stomach.
And I know
you probably took a vitamin on an empty stomach.
I'm sure that's what I did.
I've done that before.
I'm sure I took a multivitamin and I threw it up, but in my brain now, forever and always, any pill has to be taken like 30 minutes post meal. So sometimes when I'm running out the door because I have to open the gym and do a early morning session, I don't take the pill. And then in my brain, I'm like, okay, well, I've missed the 24-hour window for the allergy medication. So now I got to wait till the next. It is neuroticism. It is psychosis, but it is true. It is how I am.
Yeah.
So that's why.
On rainy days, I feel much less like motivated to do things.
Oh, for sure.
And I think that everybody feels that way, but I think it's because of the like gloomy light.
Yeah.
Like I think it's still early morning and I'm like, oh, I don't have to do stuff yet.
Well, there is something to that.
Because it's still early. It's not the middle of the day. I don't have to work or do what I need to do today. I've got time.
Human beings definitely have that connection to the sun and to light and everything, so there's definitely something to that. I like it. Specifically today, like all we have to, it's a Saturday when we're recording this. All we had to do was I had to train and then we have to do the podcast and then I get the rest of the day to kind of chill. Mm-hmm. I like that when it's raining outside. Obviously, when you got stuff to do, it can really, it can set you back. But on a day where you're kind of just chilling, this is my ideal weather.
It's good chilling weather.
Chilling weather. I do feel absolutely terrible though.
Really?
Yeah. And I don't think I'm sick. Knock on wood. I mean, maybe watch, 5 minutes from now, I'm going to spike a fever again, but I'm not. See, there it is.
Yeah.
Oh boy, this is going to be a wild episode. I wonder if you'll be able to hear it in my voice because you can hear it, right? I can hear it a little bit.
A little bit.
I haven't been training as much people in person. 'Tis the season, November, December. People
Everybody's
decide.
Traveling. They don't
Listen, I'm with you. I've gained a couple pounds here and there,
but
so I've been, haven't been seeing that many people, so I don't think it's that. When I train in the gym, there's not that many people around. I don't know.
I mean, it is like the winter's a time when it's just easier to get sick. There's just more germs flying around.
Is it that there's more germs or are more people inside of places? That's an interesting question. Does something about the cold make it easier for germs? I would think it's the opposite. They want like a temperate, wet climate. Do they not?
I honestly don't know. I would have to ask
somebody. If you're an epidemiologist,
I would be very.
I would love
interested.
to know. I've always thought it's because it's so cold outside that more people are like congregating inside.
That's an interesting thought. I've never thought about it.
I truly do not know.
Yeah.
If that may be completely incorrect. Well, I had let's get down to business, shall we?
Okay.
No, I mean, we don't really have much business to go through today. I had an icebreaker because we hadn't done one of those in a while.
We have not.
So you want to do that?
Let's do that.
If you had to teach a class on one thing, what would it be? There's a couple different ways you can go about this question, I feel.
I mean, I would want to teach a class about like a topic that I'm really interested in.
Yeah, so that's one way to do it.
Yeah.
The other thing that I was thinking was like you could teach a class that you wanted to learn more about.
To force you to learn about it.
I have found that if you got to teach somebody something,
you have to really know it.
Either you have to really know it or the way that you approach like trying to teach it to different levels really helps you understand, Like when I'm teaching people the squat, the bench, and the deadlift, which is different than mentally teaching somebody because it's a physical activity, but still has similar carryover. I learn different things about the movement that may be applicable to me. So I just, that could be interesting.
Yeah.
Or you could just, the history of film was such an interesting class that I took. Like I really liked that class. I would love
fun.
to teach that because it kind of combines a couple of my loves. Although I've really fallen off of the film game recently.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is.
I don't know. I think I haven't seen as many like exciting movies coming out lately. Movies that I'm excited about.
I don't know.
So I don't know. I think I would either want to be like a Spanish teacher.
Yeah. I mean, that would be super easy.
Yeah. Or I would love to run like a knitting circle.
Oh yeah.
And like teach like beginner, like people who don't know how.
I didn't even think about that.
Teach people how to knit. What did you think I was going to say?
No, I thought you were going to say something like Spanish.
I would teach like a linguistics class.
Yeah, so like something language related.
Yeah.
But my mind didn't immediately
etymology
go
class
to outside of like traditional learning, like knitting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like for me, when I read this question, it's like, oh, well, I already teach a class. But
you do.
You know, like my job is teaching based. Mm-hmm. In a lot of cases, like the early parts of it. So I was thinking like, okay, what if I had to go into like a traditional classroom? Like what topic would I try and get past like the Board of Education that I would be allowed to teach?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I think, you know, it would have to be like history of film or like history of bodybuilding would be really interesting. Because there was like somebody I know or I follow on Instagram has his PhD in the history of strength sports.
That's pretty cool.
Which is really interesting. Like that would be cool. I would love to teach something like that.
Yeah, that's very cool. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. If you've got a class that you'd love to teach, hit us in the comments. Yeah. I don't know. Teaching is dumb anyway.
What's a class that you would love to take?
Oh, I mean, I'm interested in so many different things.
Yeah.
That's always kind of been my crutch. Like I graduated from college with a major and 2 minors.
Yeah.
And I took just a wide range. I took geography all the way to like personal communication to abnormal psych. Like I'm just so surface level interested in so many things.
Me too. I'm the same.
Which is good to a degree, but also like I never really get in depth with a lot of things.
I'm going to be that like old retired lady
taking
who
classes.
Goes to college.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of colleges that will let you go for free. Like if you're old.
I think. But,
and I would love to do that.
Yeah.
That's like my dream.
I think I have a negative view of college as an institution these days. I think you can learn anything that you need to on the internet.
I think that college is overpriced. And I think
overrated.
Yeah. But
garbage
in a world where you get to go take whatever college class you want for free with like no pressure and just like for the love of learning.
Well, here's what I'll say to you negative. Here's what I'll say to you right now. They are recording lectures. Mm-hmm. You can I'm telling you, you can take entire classes on YouTube. They just put them up for free.
Yeah.
Like lectures from like Harvard and like MIT.
I know.
You can get the reading lists on like go look at the Harvard reading list and just get like, I don't know.
It takes a lot of like self-discipline to do that.
You're the type of person that I think would do that.
Yeah, I would.
I don't know if I would. Like there is something to be said about the pressure of having to be in a social situation, having to partake in a discussion.
Right. I think that's what I would miss from that is like getting to talk to the professor and like get to know people.
And there's for sure value in that. But I guess I'm just so jaded.
I don't want to pay,
I mean,
$1,000 a course to do that. But in a world where I'm an old retired lady and I get to go for free, I see no drawbacks to this. And I look forward to it with a lot of pleasure and excitement.
There you go.
So someday.
A class that I would want to take. I mean, I would want to take something anatomy or physiology related.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't love to look back. I'm trying to get better at that as I enter into my 30th decade.
No, your 30th year.
Yeah, there you go.
You're not 300.
Dude, could you imagine? Wow. I'm telling you, man, my brain is seeping out of my ears. Maybe I am sick. As I enter into my 3rd decade, my 30th year.
Correct.
I'm trying to get better at not resenting the choices that I made in the past.
Yeah.
But one that I do resent quite a bit is not doing like physical therapy in college, like PT.
Yeah.
And,
or like sports medicine.
Something that like I've always had this love of sport. I've always had this love of like physical endeavors, but I didn't know that was something that I could really pursue as a career. I always thought like career had to be like mental based. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I probably would take something like anatomy, physiology type thing and try and get my PT.
Apparently you should take a math class, Mr. 300 years old.
I was bad at math.
I'm kidding.
I took a math class in college because we had to take a required math, and I think it was called basic math, or it was called.
What was it? No, I took that class.
What was
too.
that called? It was like math for the home, and it was like how to balance a budget. It was like that.
It was, oh my gosh, this is going to kill me.
I think it was called basic math. I'm telling you, it was something so remedial.
It was with the lady whose kids loved K-pop.
And it was...
We took the same teacher.
God bless that woman.
She was awesome.
She was the absolute best. She knew it was me. My class was me and all the athletes.
Yeah.
She knew that we were in there because we were bad at math and we were just trying to get that check mark. And by God, listen, she didn't just pass us. She tried to teach us.
Yeah, no, she actually did. She was a good teacher.
But
it was like it was like unit 1 of every math. Like it was like easy, like basic algebra, basic geometry,
but also like
basic graphs.
Half of it was also like, here's how to calculate your tax bracket. And here's how to balance a budget. Like
there
useful
was a functional
stuff,
unit,
which was great. I was like, oh, this is actually something, because that was a thing for math for me. Like when I moved to the States,
a lot of it's so abstract.
And also I was behind because the way that we did math in the school that I went to was not even close to where it needed to be. So when I got to the States, I was like, what the heck is algebra? Like I had never, so all of it was like,
it's just very
cerebral and abstract. Yeah. And I was like, what happened to 2 + 2? Right. Like obviously I'm doing the whole hacky stand-up comedian. Why'd they start adding letters to math? It's like, okay.
But like math can go from very concrete to very abstract very quickly. Yeah. Like,
and I just missed that.
Second.
I missed that bridge from here's
it's if like you have total 2 whiplash.
And you eat one of them, here's what to like X and Y and the parabolas, and I'm
cosine
like, what in the world is it? So that I was just behind the 8 ball on that. Could I have caught up? Yes, but I just didn't. I don't have any interest in that.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is. My brother's got a math brain. My dad's got a math brain.
But your mom doesn't.
Yeah,
you
that's
take
true.
More after your mom.
Mom's pretty good at math.
She is, but not. She's not like your dad and your brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I take, it was very much like, listen, I'm going to be able to talk to people, but I'm not going to be able to tell them crazy math equations.
That's okay.
Give me the soft sciences and the communication skills. That's about it.
Listen, everybody's good at different stuff, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And I think maybe that's why because there's not a ton of math in like anatomy, but there is like a base science understanding, which I was pretty decent at biology and everything. Like, I don't know. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. There's a lot of things that I should, we didn't go to a school with a great sports management or sports medicine or anything program.
Right.
So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to talk to people. Yeah. Well, that's out the window. But again, as I go into my 30th decade, that was a joke, folks. See? It's a callback into my 30th year. We're not looking back anymore. Yeah. We're looking forward. So, I've made it to a career that I love, regardless of the path that I took.
Yep.
All of those choices had value in some way or another.
Yep.
I wish they didn't have a financial value that's going to hang over me for the rest of my life. But,
it's not going to hang over you for the rest of your life.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, listen, this new thing that they've done with the student loans.
Watch out.
Where you can adjust your payments to income driven.
Watch out.
Dude, I am telling you, that looks so enticing until you recognize that you're not even paying off the interest.
Yep.
Because they will bring that. I've seen some people's monthly payment go down to like
$20. Yeah, like so low.
Like won't even make a dent in the interest. So you got to be careful with that,
No,
folks.
they're just going to pay $200 a month for the rest of their life.
For the rest of their lives. And that interest is just going to keep stacking up.
Yep.
Man.
So watch out.
So be careful on that one.
Yep.
I know it's tough. Like it's literally a sham of a system, but it's the one that we've got to deal with.
Yep.
There you go.
Anyway.
All right. 15 minutes in, let's bring this podcast back around to some fitness.
All right.
We haven't done a question from Reddit in a while, but pickings are slim. So let's pick one here. Okay. What does this say? Okay. Can I do high intensity cardio 3 days per week? I want to develop my cardio and get as healthy as possible. I can do 4 days per week. What? I have a treadmill. I like walking, jogging, and sprinting. I'm 35 and I'm a male. I used to be an athlete. I have a ton of strength training experience, but not much cardio in the last 15 years. I mean, I love these questions.
You
like,
can. Sure.
You can do.
Go ahead.
You can do anything you want to do. You can.
I mean, nobody's stopping you. If you want to do it 3 days a week, like, is it going to kill you to do cardio 3 days a week? No.
The question.
Can you recover?
I don't blame these people because we've created a system with social media where it's all or nothing. So everything is black and white. Everything is binary.
Yeah, it's like, am I going to get crucified online if I do high intensity cardio 3 days a week? That's what he's actually asking.
I don't know if that's what he's asking. I think he's really like, honestly, when you are a novice at something and you go to the internet to find answers, all you're going to find is binary answers. Yeah. When in actuality, anything relating to your body, to physical fitness, to nutrition is going to be gray. It's going to be individual. It has to be tailored to you.
Right. Well, and it's kind of like we've said in the past, it's like, it sounds like high intensity cardio 3 days a week is what he wants to try. Try it. See how it goes. Maybe you feel like you can do more. Bump it up to 4 days. What the heck? Maybe you feel like, oh my gosh, this is too much. Maybe do, a little bit less intensity, or maybe only 2 days a week. Like, just figure it out.
There's not enough in here to give a specific answer because what is high intensity cardio for this person?
Well, walking certainly is not.
Right. But for this person, they may think high intensity cardio is a jog because of where their cardiovascular fitness is.
And it might be high intensity for them right now.
So when we're talking about cardio training, we're going to get in the weeds here because there's two systems at play. There's the cardiovascular system, which is the one that you're trying to improve. But there's also the, for lack of a better, the muscular system. Mm-hmm. Sprinting will, of course, tax your cardiovascular system, but it will also tax your aerobic capacity, your anaerobic capacity as well. Yeah. So you are not just going to get physical adaptation in the cardiovascular system. Mm-hmm. You're also going to tax and fatigue your muscles, your joints, right? So if you're 30, 35...
Sprinting is like really explosive, really high impact to your joints.
So you're getting some muscular damage, for lack of a better term.
You're using your muscles a lot.
Right. So you have to always put into... There's always going to be a cost. Yes, sprinting could be very, very good for your cardiovascular system. It could be very deleterious to the rest of your physical body. Mm-hmm. When we're talking about cardio, I think a lot of people get it wrong in that they think that the only way to make cardiovascular adaptation is to push to redline your heart to like 90% of your estimated beats per minute.
And you don't have to do that.
You do not have to do
what, like 70%,
You do not have to do that at all. There's a couple different models of cardio. There's the 3-zone model. There's the 5-zone model. Depending on who you're asking, the general recommendation for healthy human beings, who want to increase their cardiovascular fitness, is to spend the majority of your training time in zone 2, if you're talking about the 3-zone model, and in zone 2 and 3, if you're talking about the 5-zone model. Mm-hmm. This is what, zone 2 cardio has been like the explosion this year. Oh, just do some zone 2 cardio. Zone 2, depending on what model we're talking about, you got to get a little bit more specific. Basically, I find it a little bit more impactful to label your cardio based on like an RPE or a difficulty system. Mm-hmm. So like, instead of bowing down to the zone system, you can say, do some RPE 7 or some RPE 6 cardio. Especially if you're coming from a strength background, you're probably more engaged with RPE.
You understand what that means for you.
Right? So I would say, and the way that I've always looked at increasing my cardiovascular fitness is 2 to 3 bouts of RPE 6, 7 cardio. Mm-hmm. And then if you're trying to get more impact from for a specific sport, like if you're trying to increase your running time, or if you're trying to increase your biking time or swim or whatever, then you have to get more in the weeds about, 2 or 3 explosive style or like speed work style training where you are kind of redlining. You're getting up to 180, 190 beats per minute. But if you are just trying to increase your cardiovascular fitness, understand where you're starting from. It could be that all you need to do is go for a brisk walk. Mm-hmm. It could be that, okay, I'm already doing a brisk walk. Let's try and increase like an incline walk or a jog.
Right.
Right.
Well, I think that's really interesting to think of cardio in like an RPE system because, that way you can modulate that objective difficulty as you improve.
And I don't want to take credit for that. I heard that first on a podcast. I think it was the Barbell Medicine podcast. Okay. And they have really good, I think it's 4 episodes or 3 episodes all about cardio. And those 2 guys are doctors. Now, that doesn't mean that they're incredibly intelligent, but in this case, they are incredibly intelligent.
Are they medical doctors?
Yes. Oh. They're MDs. Both of them are MDs. And one of them is actively an MD working in a clinical setting. But they are both incredibly strong powerlifters who come from a background of strength training.
Cool.
So I would recommend you check that podcast out. Let me tell you, you're not going to get any BS with that podcast. That is like, these are the facts.
Yeah.
There's no spin. There's no buy my supplement. There's nothing. It's good quality information. So a lot of the information that I'm talking about from my perspective on cardio has been molded by listening to their perspective. Now, I also like to change things up for me. I would say a general recommendation for individuals trying to increase their cardiorespiratory fitness, 2 to 3 bouts of 20 to 30 minutes, zone 2, RPE 6-7 cardio.
Yeah.
A week.
Yeah.
And I promise you that will be a good starting point. And then you can start to increase from there.
Yeah.
So it comes back to the question. And all these questions, like on Reddit or on Instagram or whatever, are usually framed incorrectly because we've created this like all or nothing idea around strength training or any physical endeavor.
Yeah.
Mentally, I think that that's a pretty decent approach. Like when you want to push yourself, it's good to be able to get yourself to that position of like, I need to continue to push.
Right.
Physically, though, your body will really adapt to almost all stimulus. Like they've done studies in terms of like the big thing a couple of years ago with strength training and hypertrophy was like how much absolute load, so like weight, do you really need to continue to make adaptation? And people strength trained with 30% of their estimated 1 rep max and still experienced adaptation.
Wow.
Now the rep range has changed, obviously. So it's not, you'd have to do like 30, 35, 40 reps.
Yeah.
So it's not really
it's
feasible
not efficient.
in a real world context, but it just goes to show that a lot of different loading parameters, a lot of different, rep ranges work.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with your cardiovascular system. If you're going from sedentary and a walk is going to be good enough. And then if you're going from, okay, I've been walking for 6 months, a light jog or an incline walk or a swim is going to be enough. So you have to, don't look at the Kipchoge, the guy who set the marathon, and say, oh, I got to do what he's doing. Understand
like you can't do what he's doing.
And understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, and to answer his question, it's like as a beginner, you can do cardio 3 days a week. You can walk 3 days a week. You can walk more than 3 days a week. It it depends on the intensity. It depends on what you want to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, sure you can.
I'll say something from my own personal experience. Like I don't know if you've been watching this podcast, you remember when I almost destroyed my quad from sprinting because I got in my head that I needed to do 2 days of explosive training a week.
Yeah.
Now that could work, but I went full bore right into it right away.
Yeah.
Going from not having sprinted since I was 16, 17, that's 10 years to
sprinting uphill.
I'm going to sprint uphill 10 bouts of sprints. So I fell for the trap of I've done explosive work in strength training. That will carry over to explosive cardiovascular fitness. It didn't work that way. It could work for you, but the next, because I do want to involve a little bit more red line training is what I call it, but higher heart rate, higher intensity, maybe RPE 8-9 style cardio in the future. But I realize I have to build into that.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's really interesting because it reminds me of a study that's like, gosh, just the basis of like neurology for the past like 10 years, all about neuroplasticity and like the 10 principles of neuroplasticity. I mean, like everybody in medicine or healthcare really has read it. But one of the principles is specificity matters. Like when you're training your brain specifically, specificity matters.
It also matters in the body.
And it sounds like it really matters with your muscles as well. It's like you can work out your legs, like, all the different muscles in your legs, your glutes, whatever, with like a strength training type of program, but that's not going to carry over to sprinting.
Right.
Using the same muscles. It's going to carry over a little bit, sure.
Yeah.
But you can't just not run at all, only train legs with, your classic like powerlifting or strength training moves and expect to be like
a great sprinter.
A great sprinter who's like going to do it really well right away.
Yeah.
You have to actually train sprinting and running to have that carryover. So I think that's really interesting.
A great way to look at like specificity for physical training is a very diverse range of training will get you good at most things. Mm-hmm. So there is a little bit of carryover.
Yeah, you'll be generally fit.
But the closer you get to the top of the pyramid, the more specific things have to be, which is why you see in powerlifting training, as you come closer to a competition, which requires you to do a maximal load 3 times for a specific lift, the more fluff you start to strip away.
You don't need to do all the accessory work right now. You need to just work on the main stuff.
Well, and you don't need to, if you're playing pickleball 2 times a week, as you get closer to a competition,
you might want to knock that out.
Maybe a good idea to do, And again, it doesn't have to be this specific. Like you can still have your accessory work. You can still, but the level of specificity increases. It doesn't mean like, I only go in and do, 3 singles for 3 weeks leading up to the competition. No, but there does need to be some level of specificity going into whatever you're doing, because the other problem that a lot of people run into is thinking that this is just a physical sport, when in actuality there's a balance component, there's a neurological component, something that has become very clear to me. And a specific example is improving my squat. I thought, okay, I can only squat 1 time a week because if I do any more than that, I'm going to really get into a problem with recovery with my body specifically. When I did a program earlier this year where there was 3 squats a week, but one in the middle was like a very light, the program called it like a tune-up squat. And then I went into my heavy squat and I was like, man, this is not going to work for me. I'm just going to feel super beat up going into my heavy day. When in actuality, that tune-up day helped keep everything firing so that when I got under the bar for my heavy, everything felt much, much better. As right now I'm only squatting twice a week because I'm doing a power building. I hate that word, but I'm doing like a more volume approach as I get it closer to competition. I'm only squatting twice a week, and I have to take so many more warm-up sets and just to get the rhythm down, the feeling, like not for any strength purpose, but it just feels weird as I get under the bar.
That's interesting.
You know what I mean? And I had those days, like I would secondary squat on Wednesday, and then I would do my heavy squat on Friday. So they were close enough together. For whatever reason, there is that level of neurological carryover and like just balance and proprioception that carries over, And we don't really think about, okay, I'm squatting Mondays, but you're going into the gym Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So you feel like I'm still working out, but you haven't done the squat pattern for a full week.
And so you kind of are a little
rusty. So you're rusty when you get in there.
That's
it's just it's an interesting thing to think about. And I don't even know how we got on that specificity, et cetera. Yeah. It's just fun to, specifically for me, taking this year to do a bunch of different programs and to learn what worked for me, what I really like in terms of my personal training, and how to manipulate that so that I can be the best that I can be it's been a very valuable year. And, I'm kicking around the idea of getting back with a coach, and, I probably will. But my goals in this sport, I think, lie more in what I can do for other people versus what I want to do for myself. I would love to hit, 2,000 pound total.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's really in the cards for my personal desire and like willingness to sacrifice for the sport. But I would absolutely love to take, 10, 20 clients to nationals, or like that really fires me up. So I don't know. I want to continue to compete so that I can get perspective on how competitions work, so that I can hopefully become a referee, all that jazz. But this year has really moved the goalpost for me in terms of like what I want out of this sport.
Yeah,
I want to I want to grow this sport for other people. Obviously I want to continue, but the main thing is like this style of training provides so many opportunities to grow, not just physically, but mentally. And I think there's so much value in that. And a lot of people don't realize, they think like, oh, powerlifting is whatever. It's a very niche thing. I think it can be expanded to a very broad audience. And the style, it doesn't mean that you have to compete, but the style of training, what it requires from you mentally, what it requires from you physically, how it helps you learn how your body works, I think is just very impactful. So I want to kind of broaden that out a little bit more. I don't know. I'm just rambling now.
Yeah.
I mean, shorter episode today, I guess. You got anything else you want to talk about?
I was going to ask what your favorite thing about Christmas is.
Well, we're going to do a Christmas episode next week. So
I should save that.
We're going to do a Christmas episode all about Christmas that's going to come out on Christmas Day. Yay. So tune in for that.
Yay.
We'll talk all about it. But yeah, it's my favorite holiday. So
I know.
You got some stuff to talk about.
You're a Christmas boy.
Yeah. If you ask my mom, I was a Christmas boy. I'm now a Grinch, but that's just because I'm dark and brooding.
But you still love Christmas.
Yeah, I do. I think it's fun. There's a lot, as you become an adult, there's more things to focus on in Christmas rather than just there's family obligations and there's, travel that I hate.
Yeah. Well, there's always logistics with Christmas, right. But as a kid, you don't know about it. Right. You just get to, enjoy.
I just don't like travel.
The fruit of the logistics. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the main thing. I just don't like travel. And we're driving 6 hours this year and it's like.
But it's always worth it.
It is definitely worth it. And I've done well to set up my training where I get to take a week off on the week that we're traveling. So it's all good. It's all going to be fine.
Yeah.
Whoa. Sorry about that. We're going to call it there, folks. A little bit of a shorter episode today. If you have questions that you'd like us to answer on a future podcast, please leave them in the comments. Join our Discord. It's a burgeoning new community that, it's going to get going here in a second. I promise.
And you can get in on the ground floor.
You can be a part of it, growing and expanding. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah, it's great. It's we're building a multi-level marketing scheme here.
That's right.
We're not actually. Just subscribe to the channel, like the video, send it around. Hope you're having a great holiday season. We will see you next week.
We will.
Goodbye.